You ready? Hey, good morning. We're going to call the Planning Commission December 2nd, 2021 to order. And with that being said, Mike, word, before you go out real quick, hit us in a word of prayer to get us started. I saw you were trying to run as fast as you could.
No, sir.
I got you.
Yeah, no doubt.
That would have been awkward.
He didn't have his cup.
What is that? We're good to go. Y'all ready? Let's pray. Father, we come to you this morning and we just thank you and we love you. We just want to acknowledge that and just acknowledge that you're here in our presence. Lord, your word tells us where two or more gathered your name, you are here as well. So we just thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. And Father, we just want to honor you this morning. And we just pray a special blessing over this meeting that these men that make these decisions for Rankin County and all the ones that are involved, Father, that they would, Lord, just be able to just impart your wisdom on them, that they would continue to, Lord, to lead this county in a direction that is a great place for us to raise our families, Lord, for us to worship, Lord, and all the things that we enjoy here in Rankin County. We love you and we thank you, and all these things we ask. In Jesus' holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Word.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to call the Planning Commission meeting to order. Ms. Renee, good morning.
Good morning.
So we'll start with item number 2 in consideration and approval for the minutes from October 28th.
So moved.
So a motion by Mr. Bishop, second by Mr. Gaines. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with the like sign. So item 2 passes. Any old business, Ms. Renee? I don't see anything on the agenda.
We don't have any old business?
No new considerations?
No, sir.
You streamlined this joker today, didn't you? All right. Item 5 is site plan architectural review. First one was Hickory Ridge Baptist Church. Ms. Renee?
Right, so that's at 319 Hickory Ridge Road. This property is located on the corner of Mullican and Hickory Ridge Road. This is the old church. They've built a new church, and they call this their South Campus. That's their site plan. The sanctuary faces Mullican, and they're adding on a 24 by 26 addition for 2 offices on the old church. That's their floor plan. You can see the 2 offices being added here. And this is their elevation. The addition's going to match the existing building in colors and materials.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, so motion by Mr.
Second.
Bishop to approve, second by Mr. Calhoun. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with the like sign. So item 1 passes under site plan architectural review. So item 6 is nuisance properties. Ms. Renee? Number 1 is Mr. Jerry McDaniel.
Okay, Craig usually does those for us.
I thought you might want to do it today. We might go a little fast. Slade, come on in here. How are you today?
Y'all just trying to change things up.
Just keep moving it.
I am still trying to get used to the speed at which our
Sorry
current
about that.
board president
I'll slow down. I'll slow
moves
down.
this thing
I'll slow
for us.
down.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for keeping us all moving in the right direction. Fabulous job. Jerry McDaniel, JMRE Holdings LLC, nuisance consideration. This is 1865 Highway 471, it's District 2. We'll open that public hearing. Ms. Janice, is there anyone here on that matter that you know of out in the hall waiting?
For the redistricting?
No, this is for Jerry McDaniel, JMRE
Nuisance.
Holdings
Oh, I'm
LLC, nuisance
No.
property.
No,
Okay?
nobody else has come in unless
That
they come in.
public hearing is open. I'll ask Ms. Renee to demonstrate with the photos.
All right, so we received a complaint, well, we've received several complaints, but September 15th about the tall grass on this property.
Our pictures are terrible. This is a picture or the screen. Can y'all see?
We may have to turn the lights off.
I think it's a screen from where you're sitting
You turn the
there. I
lights
get
on.
the same thing you get over here.
Can you see that any better? That's light.
Yeah, that's much
How
better.
about that?
Yeah, yeah.
Can I help you? Can I get you anything else, Mr. Bishop?
Yeah.
Coffee or anything?
Yeah.
All right, these pictures were taken September 15th. All right, these are the new pictures. He did cut the grass there. Everything looks better on his lot.
Is there 3 of them up there?
There's 2 homes, and then they have a little garage type accessory structure.
Okay,
So he has done what we asked.
great.
He did what we asked.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Was that on Highway 18?
No,
That's on 471.
Oh, I'm sorry.
471.
That's just before you get to Vine
That's
on the
correct.
left, if you're heading north, all right?
all right. So I don't see any
Everybody good
action,
with that?
I don't see any action need to be taken at this point.
Just the minutes will reflect that no action was required, no action was taken. That public hearing is closed. Mr. President, we'll move on to item 2.
All right,
Your-
if it's all right, I may just leave these mood lightings down
That's-
back here just
Works for me.
so Janice can get a nap over there in the corner.
Item 2 will be the Sherry Copeland nuisance property, 148 Tammy Avenue, District 1 property. We'll open that public hearing. I'll ask for Ms. Copeland or anyone representing Ms. Copeland to be prepared to come forward. And they will demonstrate with the photos.
All right, so this is a repeat. We've had this several times before, but we got a complaint on July 22nd in regard to rubbish and debris, grass, and inoperable vehicles on this property. The mail was received. The owner has called and spoken with Kathy and asked for more time. These pictures were taken July 22nd. And these are the new pictures that were taken yesterday. Kathy said that she has done some work there. There's still more that needs to be done. I think she's an elderly woman, and a neighbor has called who's going to try to
She's
help
here
her
tonight.
get things moving.
I think she's here, she
Oh,
wants
is she?
to.
Okay. I thought she was over there.
Hey, good morning. If you would, just introduce yourself to the board, please, and just give us your address.
It's Sherry Copeland, address 148 Timmy Avenue, Florence, Mississippi, 39073.
Okay. Good morning. Thanks for coming. Can you tell us about this?
Well, my land, well, Wolf, he was paying to get the grass and all that, and the man who got himself in trouble, he's in jail. So I had my lawnmower didn't crank, I couldn't do it. And it rained that whole month, it did get higher. I done paid 3 people. The first guy cut the front yard, didn't do the back, but came back because he had to do his yard. This way I understand, that's what told me. So he went and did his yard, forgot about it, come back and did mine for like 3 or 4 weeks. I'm like, well, I gotta get somebody. So I done paid almost $700 to get my yard 3 times cut, 400 him, 200 for the back, and then I just paid, then 200 more for the Mexican that on this side cleaned it up for me, not this side on the house, because he wants to buy my place, that's his problem.
Right.
But that's okay too. But everybody, they were all on me, and there are other people in the whole neighborhood that need to be straightened out, but
So
they on me.
can you kind of give me a time frame you're wanting to get this done by?
Well, I need, write down the stuff, what they really want me to do, because I mean, I know the grass let's keep it down, because I finally found a man that will come do the front and back.
Well, I don't think you got a problem with grass no more.
I think
this
it's just
year.
the debris and stuff.
I mean, if
that's-
it grows. But see, I got all that up, all the debris. The only thing I got at the road, I'm cutting the limbs up, and they're gonna put them at the road, and I'm gonna call the county real quick, come pick them
Well,
up.
like this was yesterday.
Yeah, I was out there working on
Yeah,
stuff, but the car's all the way, the car ain't, it's all the way up. We done cranked and moved it, this and everything. The car been moved, my Lincoln, is- the car goes. That's what I'm thinking, that's what I'm trying to say.
I understood from Kathy that a neighbor had called trying to help Ms.
Help me get it
Copeland,
done, yeah.
and that she had provided them with a list of things that needed to be corrected.
Okay, they didn't tell me that, so. I know I gotta get that yellow, but I didn't know it was insulation. I wasn't gonna fool with my bare hand getting insulation, so I know that my dad was over there yesterday. 'Cause my dad said he can come down if
I'm
he had
not
to.
sure. Kathy's out sick.
Ms. Copeland, can you give these people your phone number so
Uh-huh.
that we can reach out to you and tell you exactly what needs to be done?
That'd be fine.
Okay.
I don't have no problem. I just see when he passed away in June, and then my winter passed away, November the 2nd, and I got out there with my hands and trying to cleaning the concrete slab up, and move my swing that used to be right there in front of the trailer.
Yeah.
I moved it out the way so concrete would look decent.
Yeah, good deal.
And the reason my tarp is cut at my tarp, I can't take that in right now. I didn't want it ruined. My friend helped me bring it. They gave me a kitchen table,
Yeah.
but the legs, was like long.
Yeah.
And we tried to get it in. It was like nighttime, and couldn't because Jeff on the ramp, it's got a rail on the left side too,
Yeah.
and it blocking taking it in. So we got to take the legs off.
I got you.
That's what that is under that. My
In the
lawnmower,
truck.
my
Yeah.
lawnmower holder. Well, I parked my truck now on this side since I got that car gone. I got one car in the shop.
Alright.
So the other car, that Grand Prix ain't even there right now.
Well, you have the means to make it happen, so if you would work with us and try to get it cleaned up. no
Yeah, I
more.
mean, I didn't wanna do it like that, but I just couldn't get out there myself, you know.
Yeah.
I hired people, I done paid $200, like I said, $700 just getting the grass cut.
Well, if you keep it cut low, you won't have to pay that much, you know.
Right.
You
I
might pay
understand the
somebody
first time, but the second time, I don't know
$100
why
maybe.
it's like flat 200 every time I do it.
Yeah.
I find somebody different, I guess, try to find somebody decent,
Yeah.
do it often.
Yep.
All right.
Step over and give them your telephone number.
I appreciate y'all.
Well, we-
That'd be
we want
helpful.
to declare the nuisance.
Is there any,
Declare nuisance.
Make a motion, declare it a nuisance, and, give her 30 days to get it cleaned.
all right.
Second.
All right, so it's a motion by Mr. Bishop, public hearing's closed, motion by Mr. Bishop, second by Mr. Calhoun, any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed with the like sign. So item number 3, Mr. Slay.
Robin Irby nuisance property at 215 Adcock Road. It's a District 1 property. We'll open that public hearing. I'll ask Renee when she's ready to demonstrate with the Irby photos.
All right, so we received a complaint here August 2nd in regard to rubbish and debris and grass. These pictures were taken on the 2nd. Kathy had received a call from the owner. She asked for some extended time to get the property cleaned up. Now, these are the new pictures. Kathy says she has done some work, but there's more to be done.
Have they been in contact recently?
I think that, well, I'm not sure the last time Kathy spoke with her, but she has been calling and attempting to, you know, get things cleaned up. Kathy just said that she has kind of moved things around. She still has some piles near the road under the carport, and that there's a burn pile that's full.
It doesn't appear that Miss Irby or Mr. Irby is present in the boardroom. I'm assuming that we checked outside as well and not found anyone. So the record will reflect that there's no one here on that matter to speak. We'll close that public hearing. At this time, it'd be appropriate if the board chooses to take action.
I make a motion, declare the nuisance, give them 30 days to get it cleaned up.
All right, so motion by Mr. Bishop,
Second.
second by Mr. Calhoun, any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed with the like sign.
Hey,
So-
Renee, will you get Kathy to call and let them know they have 30 days or else they're going to justice court?
We will.
All right, so that concludes item 6 under nuisance properties. Item 7 just tells us our next board meeting will be on the 30th of December, 9 o'clock. So I entertain a motion to recess out of the planning commission. A motion by Mr. Gaines,
Second.
second by Mr. Calhoun.
Okay.
Lights.
Any fur- I thought we were gonna leave those off.
Well, it was nice in here with you.
Man,
Y'all gonna entertain the work session on the 30th?
well, what I was, yeah, it's on the agenda, I guess. Was there a holiday around that time frame?
What day? What day?
That's the 30th, right before New Year's. Sometimes y'all do and sometimes y'all don't have that work session.
That's on
I had talked to
Thursday.
Renee about it, and I didn't know if y'all wanted to come in during, holidays. Have it or not, it's y'all's decision.
Yeah, I don't think that we're going to have a planning meeting now.
On the
That
30th?
day, I don't have anything
Let's
right
just
now
not have it.
currently.
There we go. So what do we need to do, Slade,
Let's
to
just
take
not
that
have a
off there?
work
Nothing?
session that day either.
You
Don't plan
need to
one?
do anything. We need to make sure that it's publicized that your work session is not going to be held this time. Just make sure that the public generally, as a courtesy, knows that. And you don't have to advertise or put notice out for your statutory meeting in January, so.
So,
it's really
Mr.
not
Hicks,
anything
you
to
take
do.
care of that for us? All right, so everybody good with that plan?
I'm good.
James, Brad?
Yep.
Jared?
Yeah.
Jared's good too. All right, so back to where we were, entertaining a motion to recess out of the planning commission.
I'll make a
The
motion.
motion by Mr. Calhoun, second by Mr. Gaines.
Can I suggest that it be an adjournment since
Sure.
we're not going to need to.
You all right with that, Brad?
recess?
All right, so that motion will be to adjourn. Gaines, you good with that? So second by Mr. Gaines. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with the like sign. So we're out of the planning commission meeting into the board of supervisors meeting. And Mr. Franco, good morning. You're up under public comment as the first one out of the gate. How are you today?
Good morning. I know y'all hadn't seen me in a while. Y'all probably thankful for that. But I
Yeah,
come,
because it seemed like, for 2 or 3 years there, we were working on that building.
well, I'm gonna tell you something you probably hadn't heard from me in those 3 years on the Chancery building. They're actually ahead of schedule. And I know you find that hard to believe, but they are.
This is the community services.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No,
Yeah.
yeah, let's, thank you.
What are we calling it? Community Services Building. All right.
Anyhow, I come before you today with three change order requests. Let me go through those if I can. First one is, add a water heater. The old one was on its last leg just about anyhow, but it got removed during the demolition by the county personnel, so we gotta put back a new one, obviously.
We definitely do.
Uh,
We demoed our water heater.
Yeah. Well, it probably was gonna need a new one anyhow, so this just,
We definitely do now.
yeah, proceed. The change order request number 3, and that's gonna be, we've looked at all these prices, and I'm proposing that these come out of the contingency, so that does away with the contractor's overhead and profit, and actually saves the county about almost $2,000, because that's already in the contingency allowance, so we don't allow that to come out twice. So that would be $1,387. The next one is, in doing work, even though most of the walls and things were demolished, there were a few things that had to be left. And uncovering some of that in the card, they have to be a 1-hour fire rating. So we have to add a 1-hour fire damper to that. Plus, there was an exposed steel beam that was not being able to be seen during the investigation. So we have to go back and fireproof that beam. So those things, and then add some fire extinguishers, have to be done. And the cost for all that's $4,402.75. And then the third change order number 4 is, we originally had carpet on the floor material in there. I think in revisiting that, I think the county would like to go to a more substantial, durable, what we call LVT vinyl tile. It's a luxury vinyl tile. And luxuries are not the correct
What
word.
we have out here?
Yeah. And that's actually an increase in cost to go from carpet to that. Need to add one, there's a request to add a counter in the break room, and then to tie in a ice maker water service to the refrigerator. So all those costs are around $8,392.52. If the county wants to go with that, the total cost is $14,189.27. We have a $15,000 contingency, so you would have $800 left in the contingency allowance. So the net result would be there's no increase to the overall project cost. It's just that $15,000 contingency would not be coming back to the county.
Well, what was the term of the bid?
I'm not sure if it was 30 or 60 days. We usually go 60, but the cost of the way materials and labor and costs, I think we reduced it to 30 days for that.
Okay.
But these weren't in the original bid to begin with. These are all changes to it.
I think that vinyl floor would be better than putting in carpet.
In the long term,
No,
you're
these-
right,
these are in
Brad. It cleans up easier. You won't have dirt. It's just more expensive.
I don't see how they can, I mean, I understand that, but
But it would last long. Carpet's
Last
10 to
long.
15 year life
Yeah.
expectancy, and this should last forever, really.
Yeah.
All right, so we don't need any other comments from us on that. I know it's under Mr. Hicks's.
How do you fireproof a steel beam?
You have to wrap
You
it.
wrap it and spray it, or some kind
Yeah,
of
that's what we're
coating or
doing.
something on
Fireproofing may be exactly the wrong term, but you have to have a 1-hour reduction so that, in other words, if a fire breaks out, the beam will last at least an hour to allow people to get out of there. That's the comment. A lot of this,
If the heat's that bad,
yeah.
that, either way. I'm with you. That's what the code says, so. All right, anything else?
Great news. I'm glad we run ahead of schedule.
So I'm good with all those things. I know we'll hit Mr. Hicks's section coming up, so.
Yeah, we'll act on it when we get
Yeah,
there.
okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carl. Good to see you. Item number 6, Ms. Herring. Good morning.
Good morning. We had our reverse auctions on the 18th for our single axle dump trucks and the tandems. On the tandem trucks, the bid amount was $159,000, and then the single axles, it was $123,000. And we just got my coworker up here to help see what y'all want to do with them. We didn't do buybacks on the single axles, but on the tandems, we did guaranteed 18-month at 100 and, well, it depends on the color. Black ones were 110, the whites were 105,000. 30-month buybacks, 90,000 for the black, and the white 85,000. And then 42 months, 75,000 for black, and then 70 for the white. And Mike's
have
been
that?
talking to some of the.
We broke it down, Jay, from 18 months to 18 months to 30 months to 42 months, and we was trying to look and see what was our better buyback situation and trying to get back on schedule with our lease programs.
If you
What is
have-
our schedule?
We usually do 3 years on one, Jay,
Yeah.
and we rejected some trucks a few years ago. They come in with spec wrong. It got us off track, and we're swapping out trucks in the middle of our prime time, so I was trying to get our truck swapped back over in February and March, is what I was trying to do.
So are we gonna go back to the 3-year program?
Well, that's what me and Keith talked about. I think the 30 month, looking at it, 30 months seems to be on this sheet, it seems to be a pretty good one, or we can go to 42, either one. Depends on which way we wanna, our financing works out the best for us.
I'm just curious, why do we not do a buyback on the single axles?
Cause we usually try to keep them purchase, you're not gonna get a big number back on them.
Okay.
So, I mean,
We
Those are
keep
the ones
those.
we run that, we run those until we can't run them. We buy them straight out, and when we start having serious problems out of them, we usually try to get 12, 14 years out of those trucks.
And another thing that we needed to note too, just that the delivery dates, they can't guarantee our delivery dates. And that's not their fault, that's all vendors. Some of them are taking, 18 months to 2 years.
I mean, trucks can't be made till PO's cut.
So
Fair
what,
warning, this will be a recurring thing. If it relates to the vehicle, anything that's gonna have chip as a component part of the system.
And they're
Any
so far
electronics,
behind.
we can pretty much count on being delayed in receipt. So we could put in the specs, by the way, we could say, we need a turnaround of 90 days. And the truth of the matter is, nobody can really bid on that with any meaningful certainty because they have no clue when they might get inventory.
And we
so
gave
this
them to
gonna impact
August
our
on these.
current turn-in?
We're gonna probably we'll have to buy the current turn-in trucks, pay them off early, am I right?
Yeah, we have 4 trucks that will come off next summer,
Yeah,
that at that time we'll have to address whether to keep those.
if they're not in by that time?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
We can't work talk about extending our deal,
Is that who's the low bid? I just see one name here.
Yeah, truck
We
work.
did, on the tandems, we received 2 other pre-qualification specs, and they did not meet specs on
Okay.
the truck itself. I mean, the delivery was, they couldn't meet that either, but
So
they had
all
many
of them are
options.
truck works?
Yes, both of these.
Okay.
All right, so
I make a motion to approve?
motion approved by Mr. Bishop, second by Mr. Gaines. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Can I
Any
clarify
opposed, like
which
sign.
buyback? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Sure.
On the
I think we need to let Keith.
May I suggest that your motion be with a buyback of either 36 or 42?
30.
30.
30,
30 or
36,
42.
42.
30 or 42, depending on which rate for that particular item is the better rate. So if you make your recommendation either 30 or 42, it gives the administrator the flexibility to determine what's the best option.
All right, and this is for items A and B, Jay?
Yep.
So items A and B wrapped into what Slay mentioned, flexibility between 30 and 42 on the finance side of it.
Yes, sir.
And then,
I'll make
second-
that my motion.
Second by Mr. Gaines. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with like sign. Thank you,
y'all.
Ms. Herring.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Mr. Slay, you're back up. Item number 7.
Mr. President, if I may, I'd like to throw you an audible here.
If I can ask, we've got our team from CMPDD here present with us to address with the board the proposal as it relates to your redistricting, your proposed redistricting plan under our new census data. And so we've got Dave Wade, Gray Oots, and Tony Wonk from CMPDD, who are our specialists and have been alongside us every time that I've been associated with the redistricting. They've been right here with us, and it's good to have them with us and helping us through this process. So I'm going to ask those guys to start making their way forward. I think we were trying to have an easel prepared, and
Brad broke it.
yeah, despite our best professional efforts, we don't yet have an easel. So Gray may in fact end up serving as the human easel here for us. Just as a matter of a quick background, I think it's important for anyone who is interested in the redistricting process, anyone in the public who is has an interest in what the county may do, what the board may do with respect to redistricting. It's important to have a few details about the process and background so that it's clear what is being done here and what's being impacted. First and foremost, the redistricting process that this board has responsibility for is limited. It's limited to 4 county district offices, your own offices, supervisors, election commissioners who have contemporaneous districts with you, and then 2 other districts that are different, the Justice Court Judge and the constables. So those are the 4 county district offices that are impacted by the redistricting process with the Board of Supervisors. If it involves a municipality, that is the mayor and the Board of Aldermen for that municipality. If it involves the state legislature, that is the state legislature itself that sets the districts for state legislative boundaries. If it is federal, our congressional districts, House of Representative members, that's done by the state legislature. So if anybody is interested in hearing about the redistricting process and their focus is on either municipal, state legislature, or federal, this is not the place to be because you guys don't have anything to do with those. You address those 4 county district offices only: supervisor, election commissioner, justice court judge, constable.
Hey, Slade, do you have these on paper? Like a printout that's not on the chart?
Do we have a printout on these?
Yeah, I just want to look at them. Like,
Yeah.
my eyes have gotten so bad, I think those are colors, but I'm not
I
exactly
think
sure.
we
So.
can get them up there a little closer
No, I
for
just
you.
didn't know. I didn't know if you had them on a sheet of paper we could look at. You don't.
Not with us today, but if you wanna take a look at it.
No, I just.
Which one
I was
is-
wanting to scan over it. Just.
What's the, I mean, I can see a difference, but what is the difference in the two?
So, the red lines are your current districts. The colors are the proposed districts.
Okay.
To point out the changes.
Why did you let Gray use that 2 font on that thing? So my eyes can't see.
Well, let's start at the bottom with the changes. District 33 grew, so District 1 had to come over and take some area. This is up Star Road, basically, with the exception of the school here. Then over here, we did make one change in District 5. That this was an old line, Jay may remember, that dates back to the last time. It was kind of an odd line that really needed cleaning up, but it could lead to a lot of confusion as to
no question.
what district people were in. So we cleaned up that line and put it on District 5. And then up here, we needed to trade some population from District 2 to 4. And so that was the change right here. There's one more.
Right here.
Yes.
Took in
everything-
Linda's Lake, basically.
Anything in Flowwood goes to District 2.
Okay.
And then the unincorporated went to District 4. Steve, you may remember that. That's that River Bend Drive right here off Lucky,
That's
between
what-
Lucky and Grants Ferry.
Yeah.
So that's really
I was
only,
supposed to get with y'all and reverse that. It didn't go over too well, so.
Because you were gonna keep River
You
Bend,
don't
weren't
have, you don't have to take a picture of that.
Yeah, you were saying you were gonna keep that.
Show me just where that line cuts at the top. I just can't see it.
This is
Yeah.
probably 471.
This is, yeah,
I don't think,
471.
is that 471?
This is 471 where it comes off of 25.
Right.
And then the intersection, the Y
where we
intersection with 43.
Yeah.
And then it follows 43 at Tom's.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, that's where we took it. Yeah.
Leave him, leave that part.
That was the other section I think that Gaines and Bishop had talked about, was leaving River Bend in
He's gonna.
Bishop here. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is that,
District 2 still gets.
District 2 still getting Liddy's Lake, but then River Bend comes down
This will go back in.
Jay's area.
That's easy enough.
That's easy.
Yeah.
You see anything? You
There
good?
ain't that many folks that you can get in there.
And
So,
that-
If we can.
I'm assuming Jared is fine with that too.
Last time we talked,
How do you draw that school out?
We followed the parcel line
Yeah.
around the school.
yeah, that was his.
So
Yeah, he didn't want
that
that
is that
extra stuff.
little dip
Well,
there.
where do those people go to school?
Well, there's both sides. There's some in mine that goes to
Yeah.
McLaurin and some going to be in his.
I
can,
don't see why it would be even worth drawing around the school.
Well, Steve, for messaging purposes, when you get the phone call, it's easy to say, I mean, that's not my district. You need to supervise the district.
Okay.
hey, can you email me that?
That's one reason.
Digital stuff, just so I can see it on my phone.
It may not work.
I think I'm going blind, I think that's what's happening to me.
I may say, look, let me tell you up front,
That's all right.
I'll talk
Hey,
with
can I
Jay
s-
about it.
Just glance
But
at
let me
those real
help you.
quick.
Or let me help,
Any
Right.
other questions?
never.
I think I'm good there.
This is Justice Court districts.
So I know one thing that Judge Agnew had asked was, Bay Point,
Yes.
inside that District 2
Move that
spot.
into District 2.
Yeah,
And then the only.
How much did it change?
one
change
subdivision,
here.
that much?
That's all? Out of the
Well,
whole?
Two, it changed twice. There's Bay Point
Yeah.
and then this change right here at Airport Road.
Right, this got moved over to Airport Road, was splitting these neighborhoods north of 80 in
Okay.
Pearl.
This south
And
end of Airport
It was
Road.
necessary to move
Took
that
Pearl
over.
out of that.
There
huh?
is one other change that we
Yeah.
didn't make, the census map board.
Right. This is where the Census Bureau combined
Yeah.
two census blocks. Why they did it, we have no idea, but it made that necessary to just redraw that.
Yeah. So it
Wasn't
took
really-
out the Pearl section for Agnew,
It did.
and then it added Bay Point into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Oh, it-
So
it-
those two
it
changes.
picked him up now? Because he wasn't, that's right.
Mhm.
Well, good.
Those couple of changes brought that into balance very easily. And the idea in both of these plans was to make as few changes as possible to balance the wards. Because when you start moving people around, it tends to lead to voter confusion, so. In
No, I
both
agree.
supervisor and justice court, we tried to just tweak those lines a little
Yep.
to bring everything back into compliance.
I'm good. Thank you.
Hey, Gaines, you need to do something about your district. You need to put more people in it, keep sorting it out.
No kidding. They're coming.
They coming.
They
Guys,
just haven't
the-
got counted yet.
That's right, that's right.
The purpose,
Yes, they did.
the purpose of having the maps for you to look at today is really twofold. It's one, is to let you guys officially see what it looks like on the map, that's number one. Number two is to explain that we've had conversations, when I say we, I'm talking about CMPDD, has had opportunities to have conversations with the directly impacted elected officials. They've seen this, and based on what we are told, there is no issue with any of this. You also need to understand that because the Census Bureau's count with respect to increased population was surprisingly low, that has indicated for us no need to make substantial changes to our current existing boundaries. We were not that far out of compliance to begin with based on the new census data. Okay, so the adjustments that needed to be made to reform the boundaries so that the populations were nearly as possible equal, distributed among the districts, which is our requirement, one person, one vote. We were pretty close. And so it didn't take a lot of maneuvering or movement in the district boundaries as they exist now to get us back into compliance. All right. So with a couple of tweaks, Jay, that we've just discussed this morning, This will be what you will see on December the 6th at our public meeting where we invite the public to speak on these matters. Today was a demonstration of where we think we're going to be Monday. You've asked for a tweak on one of the maps. That'll be done before Monday, and then we will present a plan to you on Monday for your potential adoption, and we'll ask the public to speak on it. Okay?
I know 10 years ago when we did this, we concentrated on eliminating as many split boxes as possible.
Yes.
Were we able to do away with any more this time, or?
What we plan to do is, once y'all have adopted the plans that you're okay with, we'll get with the election commissioners and circuit clerk and work on precinct boundaries to resolve any splits and get those straightened up.
It's almost impossible to come up with a redistricting plan that completely eliminates box splits. We know we're going to have some.
Yeah.
And Jay, simply by virtue of the fact that we don't have 5 justice court districts, so we can't overlay the justice court districts on top of the supervisor districts, and everybody has the exact same boxes. No, we got 4 of those instead. That is going to create, at least for them, several box splits just by operation of the way the election works. It's important, by the way, that we get on top of this. Some folks may want to know, why are we moving this quickly? Well, we've got a congressional election next May, and we need to get our house in order and get this thing adopted so that Ms. Becky is able to push out the appropriate notifications to voters that could be affected by what you do. And so that's why we're pushing to get this done. And I'm thankful that CMPDD is able to push this work product out to us effectively and timely. So
And we may need to do a precinct change.
We know of at least 2.
Yeah, I know one in my district where y'all both voting out of there, I think. That church on Luckney.
Yeah. So Jay, that may not impact
It's a
specifically the
ton of people.
precincts.
That's the biggest one, I think, almost in the whole area.
Yeah.
You're dumping all the Castlewoods in that, and,
No, I was talking about the one on Luckney.
oh, Liberty.
Liberty.
Liberty, you're talking
No,
about.
Well, not Liberty. the one
Riverside.
downtown.
Riverside.
Further down.
Riverside.
And look, those are within 1,000 feet of each other almost, aren't they?
Yeah, except Riverside, even though it's in my district, y'all vote there, or your constituents do.
I think Gaines does. I don't think many of mine.
Yeah.
I don't have anybody in mine.
Oh, you don't have anything?
Keep in mind that the precinct, it doesn't matter. We can even have precincts, by the way, that are outside the boundary of the district. There's nothing wrong with
Yeah,
that.
the
We
weird
just
thing
have to
about
make
that
sure
is
they know
you've
where to
got-
go to
you've got
vote.
3 different precincts all within a quarter of a mile of each other.
Right.
You got the one on Lakeland,
Yep.
right there.
Word of
Liberty.
life.
Yeah.
But then you got Word of Life,
Yeah.
and then you've got Riverside, all within a quarter of a mile of each other.
Yeah.
And those are all big boxes, by the way.
Well, actually,
And-
if you think about it, man, you just go on over to the library. It
I think about
flows.
that, add that to it.
Yeah. So,
Stacked in there.
right.
Any other questions for our folks from CMPDD?
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Really
Good
good.
work.
Thank you. Great, good to see you.
If you know what's going on with Jay. All right. And once we get that tweak made, let's push
Let us
documents
know.
out to these guys.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
push
you.
them out,
Thank
if you
you.
don't
I'll
mind.
get those emailed out to you.
Thank you.
I asked her to cut that part out.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Slade.
Okay, we'll
go
revisit that
pick-
on Monday, by the way. That's all coming back up at a public hearing on Monday.
All right, so we'll pick back up with item A. You good with that?
Yes, sir. This is a review, well, really, it's just a discussion with you guys about a proposed fee in lieu agreement on the Jackson Hart matter. Y'all may remember that you adopted a policy and procedure that relates to our medical corridor qualifying businesses that move into the medical corridor. If they meet certain requirements, the Mississippi Department, or the Economic Development Authority for the state, MDA, will qualify them for qualification under the Medical Corridor Act, which provides state incentives for them relocating to that section of Rankin County in and around the Flowood area close to the airport. This board has the authority and the discretion to also offer up local tax-related ad valorem tax exemptions as well. You've indicated previously, GI Associates has qualified for a local tax exemption. You guys have qualified them. You've allowed them to have an exemption, and they are currently receiving an Avalon tax exemption, and their operation is in Rankin County and is benefiting all of our county. Jackson Hart Associates wants to do this, a similar thing, and recently you changed your policy to state that rather than a full-blown county and city exemption, we would prefer to use a fee in lieu process as opposed to a straight-up Avalon tax exemption. I have been provided an ad valorem tax fee in lieu agreement that is being offered as an agreement that would bind the county and Jackson Hart to the fee in lieu procedure as opposed to an ad valorem procedure. And so I've been going through that. I wanted to give you guys an update on that and tell you that I would like to have your permission and your authorization, once I'm comfortable with the language, to let them know that we can move forward and provide them with the agreement signed by your board president. The contingency would be we approve it as long as the language that both me and John Sullivan and his folks can live with is included in the agreement, and we're not ready to put the finishing touches on it yet. We need some time to go through it and have further discussions. Generally speaking, the fee in lieu agreement is exactly what we anticipated it would be, but there are a few things in here that give me a little bit of pause, and I want to have discussions, follow-up discussions on. So what I'd like for you to do today, if you will, is to add an action item to adopt the fee in lieu agreement contingent upon my review and the tax assessor's review and satisfaction with the language.
All right.
I'll make that motion.
So make a motion to add it by Mr. Gaines. Second by Mr. Bishop. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with the like sign. So motion to approve, Mr. Gaines?
I'll make the motion to approve, please.
Jay?
I'll second it.
So second by Mr. Bishop. Any further discussion?
Have you talked with Flowood yet?
I have not. I want to, I did talk to Rusty about doing the fee in lieu, and he is on board with that and has no issue with that. In fact, all it does is help them.
Yeah.
So they're not going to object to it. But I want to get his feedback on the agreement itself and make sure that we're on the same page. One example, just quickly, just so you know why I'm not just hoping, that invariably what we get in situations like this is when the exemption runs out, one of the first things that the entity wants to do is to object to the assessment. And I want some language in this agreement. If we're going to give them the benefit of the fee in lieu, then we expect there to be no objection to our assessment of that value, and that extend for some period of time. And so that's the kind of thing that I want to see in the agreement, just so y'all understand that the idea here is to make sure that we protect the county from and against things that over time, historically, we see as problems for us.
All right.
US Foods, great example. They were fine and dandy. I said US Foods, Siemens. Siemens was fine and happy with our assessment as long as they were getting an exemption. The exemption ran out, they got all froggy about it and sued us. We ended up in court for 2 years and paid a pile of money to defend ourselves in that, and ultimately ended up winning the case, but we still had to fight for 2 years. And I want to avoid that going forward if we can.
All right.
That's an example.
So that's any more on discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed with the like sign. So item A is adjusted and approved. So item B.
Item
Mr.
B is a
Slay.
discussion, it's potential action as well on a drainage matter that affects the Woodland section of Castle Woods. There's one lot in the Woodland section of Castle Woods. This is an area that had been developed over a period of time, and then there were several lots in this back corner of this particular section of Castle Woods that sat vacant for quite some time. The property was secured by a local builder. The builder went bankrupt. Bank ended up in possession of the property and hired a second contractor to come in and finish a particular residence. That contractor filled in, or the original builder had filled in an area that was supposed to be a drainage easement, filled it in, and that impacted the drainage in that area.
Was that the gentleman that came to us?
I don't think he's been here. This is another issue. It's kind of been.
No, the original builder. him and his wife came about those lots they bought?
No, that was on, that's on Castlewoods Boulevard.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So, we had the bank, through the second contractor, the bank adjusted, made some corrections to the area where they filled in the drainage easement, and it did bring some improvement, but what we're finding is that that area is continuing to have stormwater drainage problems. We're seeing stormwater overtop the road, the public road that we protect. It is feet deep in some rain events over the road. You can't get emergency response in there. And so what we have secured is permission from all of the affected property owners, private property owners, for access to their property. And if the board will, I would like for us to authorize engineering service to conduct some level of investigation to determine what, if anything, can be done to address the overtopping of our road and how we might get on top of that.
Yeah, and I think the process of that is, Tim, correct if I'm wrong, you're just gonna put the camera in it and see what's collapsed, see if something's collapsed or what's blocking it or what's stopping it.
Actually at the road to it, where it crosses the road, see what's going on.
So the extent of this is really gonna be limited to just some camera work to see what's going on, to identify.
On Castle Drive?
No, it's on,
Willowbrook
it turns
Willowbrook.
off Woodlands Drive, going back to the left, before you get to Woodlands Glen.
So it's an investigation, and it would be authority of engineering service to conduct an investigation. We have secured written permission from all of the affected property owners to be able to go onto their property to do the investigation.
All right, I'll make that motion, Mr. Slay. Second by Mr. Bishop. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with the light sign, so item B passes. Item C, Mr. Slay.
Item C is an interesting little situation. This is an existing subdivision development called Shenandoah Estates. I believe this is in Daniels District. Daniel, help me. It's not far from 471. Yeah, it's off of Vine Street, close to 471.
Right.
So it should be somewhat familiar to you as far as the areas are concerned. These are larger lots that were developed over some years ago. Again, a couple of situations that were interesting. It was planned as a multi-phase development. The developer never installed one or more of the actual streets that were reflected on the plat. They never got installed. And we take the position that even though we received the plat that reflected a street to be constructed, because it was never constructed, there was nothing for us to accept as it relates to that piece of, or that strip. We've got an issue between the adjacent property owners over who's supposed to be responsible for that area. There is no developer anymore to talk to about this.
This is an older subdivision. It runs off Vine Drive. In the back of it, there was 2 lots, and the original plat had a road coming in behind it. It never got developed and never got moved around, so there's no access point, and they had a temporary road between the 2 houses that they were just driving the park in or whatever. So this is cleaning up the plat. Is what this
So are
is
you
doing.
going to declare it non-split or something?
So what we're doing, we're going to require first that we don't want to take the position that it's our road. It's not our road. And so this is basically indicating we don't believe that it's our road, but to the extent that anybody believes that it's our road, and by the way, one of the property owners is suggesting that it ought to be a public road, interestingly, because that property owner just secured the lots behind them.
See eye to eye between where the imaginary roads going between.
What I want to do is to get us out of the middle of that situation by formally abandoning whatever that is as reflected on the plat.
Yep.
It's not a road. Whatever that is, the county is not responsible for that. And we need to conduct a public hearing so that we stay compliant on that. And that's what you're doing. All you're doing is setting a public hearing for January the 3rd, 2022 at 9 a.m. And I'm going to be notifying the public and those 2 property owners that there's your opportunity to come and address the board about that.
So once we abandon it, will they then come to us and want us to, they'll be able to take the property?
I really think it's a civil matter
At that point, they've got to go to court and straighten out what happens in the event that a platted section of road, what was supposed to be road, is abandoned formally by the county. What happens? I take the position, because the statute's pretty clear, that half of it goes to the adjacent property owner on this side, half of it goes to the adjacent property on this side, and it needs to be drawn right down the middle, and both of them need to be assessed for that, and we need to move on.
Chancery has to do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It'll be a confirmation suit of some kind will have to be filed. We're not going to be involved in that.
All right, so I'll make that motion to set that public hearing and
Second.
publish a notice. Second by Mr. Calhoun. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with the like signs? Item C passes. Item D.
Item D is a matter that you guys may want to address today. With Jared not being here, it makes it kind of ticklish. I would suggest that if there's any questions significantly, it might be important to have Jared available. This is on the Florence Byron Parkway project. That is a project that is currently being studied for environmental purposes. We have received an environmental assessment. The next step in the process is that the board needs to adopt what is known as the preferred alignment. This would be the alignment of that project as reflected in the communications to MDOT, that this board wants to use that preferred alignment. Jared is aware of this. Jared is fine with the preferred alignment. This would be something that we go ahead and take action on. It doesn't commit the board to anything other than notifying the public this is the alignment.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion approved by Mr. Bishop.
Second.
Second by Mr. Calhoun. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with the like sign? So item D passes. Item E, Mr.
Item E is just to get some clarification from the board on our Hines Community College situation. As you guys know, their board recently voted to increase representation on the board without reducing current representation, just adding additional board members. My understanding is that is still that is still the action of the board, that nothing has changed at this stage on that issue. All right, and so the next thing then is the plans that, as we understand it, the plans that the administration and the board have expressed about approaching the state legislature for assistance. I just spit all over the place. Assistance in relocating one or more of the academic focuses of Hines from Hines County to Rankin County. There are plans to relocate some of their academic offerings to Rankin County. The question that we have is this. We have a limited amount of resources as it relates to legislative lobbying. You guys have said very clearly our number one priority is to make sure the legislature knows we want their help on our ARPA projects. And so that is underway, full speed ahead. The issue is, does this board want to assist Hines Community College with a formal legislative approach and effort to address the funding needs to relocate those academic programs to Rankin County? Does this board want to do that? This is going to take additional resources at the state legislature to do it. So I need y'all to weigh in, tell me what we're doing.
What's your thoughts, Jay?
Well, I mean,
100%
why,
in favor of it.
I'm fine with it, but why
We need
can't
it.
Hines County and the other counties? that's
This would
involved?
be a secondary approach, Brad, but it would require us to make it clear to anybody that we talk to that we are formally representing the Board of Supervisors for that effort. We don't want them confused that our guys are over there under Hines' umbrella doing something. They're doing it for you. And before they do that and bill you for that time, I need y'all to tell me that that's okay. Y'all understand that Rankin County Board of Supervisors is going to be right beside the Hines bunch trying to secure legislative support for this.
And just so everybody understands, currently our nursing program here is maxed out. The only other option if somebody wants to go to Hines is go to their campus in Jackson, which is a very rough place to go. Holmes Community College is taking a lot of our students from Rankin County currently.
A lot.
Yeah, and not only that, they also are coming to the legislature with an agenda to try to increase the size of their nursing program also. So if we don't get on it now, we'll miss the boat.
So do you need,
I need a motion to authorize our legislative delegation, I'm sorry, our legislative
Lobbyists.
yeah, okay, we'll go with that. It's a term that I generally
I know.
skate around. To our consultants who assist us at the state legislature, to authorize them to formally to engage with the Hines Lobby Group for the purpose of the Rankin County relocation legislative effort. Just need a motion to formally authorize us to do that.
What y'all think?
I'm for it.
Motion. Yep. Second.
So a motion by Mr. Gaines, second by Mr. Bishop. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with the like sign. So Mr. Slade, was that to add it or to go ahead and proceed with it?
Yeah, we probably need to add that as an action item because I just
You
had
gotta add
discussion
that?
here.
So adding it to Mr. Gaines,
Yeah.
Mr. Bishop.
I'll make a motion to approve.
So we'll make it, so the first one was to add it, the second one we just did right here was to approve it. So any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with the like sign. So Samantha, did you get all that?
We also need to, think about 3 people. I know we've already discussed one. We need a couple more folks to, nominate for that board. They'll be needing to go to work in January.
Yep.
Well, Scott Ryan would be one of them. You see that too?
Yeah, he got put in this morning. The superintendent got put in this morning. For
Who is
school. Times, Scott Times?
Scott Ryan.
Rhymes. I said Times, didn't it?
Yeah.
Rhymes.
Rhymes.
Scott
Where's
Rhymes.
he from?
He was from
assistant.
Richland. He was the number 2 person over, I think, the high schools, and then he was in the, I think he's from Richland, I believe.
Okay.
So,
Well, that's good, because they actually have an important vote coming up December 8th.
Yeah. So that was the replacement for Dr. Townsend?
yeah,
Is that correct?
his name
Okay.
this morning.
Yeah, so yeah, so, we still,
We still.
we gotta have our,
2 more, we need 3 people.
Right.
3 more people.
All right.
So we just need to think about it.
All right.
please communicate that to Jay, who will communicate it back to us so that we know who our guys need to be focused on to talk about how to message that to the legislature, okay?
All right.
There needs to be good coordination on that. So once we've got warm bodies that we know we're gonna be dealing with, we wanna know who they are as quickly as y'all know, all right? Mr. President, if I may ask for a little grace, this is going back on our excess fee income project. This is one that our Chancery Clerk, Mrs. Wales, brings to us. It's always good news. Larry has had follow-up communications with Dr. Townsend about the needs of the school district and how any excess fee income proposal or agreement might work for the Rankin County School District. And so we're bringing you guys the kind of the framework that we think would work in conjunction with what the school district has identified as priority needs, okay? So let me communicate those to you. First, Dr. Townsend appropriately thanked you for last year's excess fee income program. And so I appreciate that. I know you guys have heard from individual schools, and hopefully you're continuing to hear from them the appreciation for last year's program and the benefit that was to the school district. She now identifies 3 specific areas. All of these will be at or below the middle school level. Okay, so you helped the high schools last year. This program would be focused on middle school and elementary school. First, elementary school playground equipment. This would impact every elementary student in the district. They all have PE. Elementary STEM, that's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Equipment and materials for all of their new STEM programs are being created at elementary schools. This would impact every elementary student in the district. So an financial impact that helps them to aggregate the STEM materials that they need to carry out those programs would be focused at the elementary level. Then athletics at the middle school level. Athletic programs have needs, a multiplicity of needs that are really beyond the scope of anything we could even come up with. But that's where they'd like to focus. So in those 3 areas, what we would propose to do is to take the current interlocal agreement that you passed last year and add as a new exhibit for this year's distribution these 3 focus items. The distribution that we would propose is as follows. Larry's graciously agreeing to make $400,000 in excess fee income available to the board immediately to fund this agreement. That's $400,000. That's actually slightly more than we had originally talked about. We were estimating about $350,000, but Larry's going back and put fresh batteries in his calculator, and we're saying now we think it ought to be $400,000. You've got a total of 19 schools. This includes 3 schools in the Pearl system, Jay. So that's a total of 19, 16 in the county school district and 3 at Pearl. If you divide the 400,000 by 19, you get $21,052 for every school that could be impacted by this. $21,052. Pearl's share of the 3 would be $63,155 and change, and the school districts would be $336,845. So what we need to know today, it would be helpful for us to know, you may want to think about this and tell me about it on Monday, but what we would suggest is that we consider this as in terms of a formal way to go ahead and structure the follow-up interlocal with the school district and with the Pearl School District, and go ahead and start working on the paperwork. If you have any questions about that, either Larry or I can help you. We've got a little information we can push out to you if you need that.
Hey, one thing I
What's
want to
your
add to that, to be sure, and we had this, I know, last time when we did it, I want to be sure that the principals of those schools are in direct, not to say direct control of it, but have the majority say in what that money applies to.
Right.
I don't want that money influenced or taken away by the county to say, oh, we've offset this money into your account, we're going to take it from another program, so it ends up being a wash and it goes away. I want to be sure that the schools, the principals in each schools, are in contact and they understand that their decision is what leads the movement of the money.
Right.
That's
So-
kind of one of my things
Right. So last year's interlocal, Daniel, actually has that language,
in it. Yeah.
at least substantially that language. It makes it very clear that the school district cannot offset from other resources against this distribution. That's in there, that would be unchanged. There's language in there that indicates that the decision-making with respect to expenditure needs to be made at the school level.
Right, not the county level.
Right, and so the district had already agreed to that. That would be unchanged. Steve?
In that count, schools such as Pisgah, where they're all under the same roof, elementary, middle, high school, is that 1 or is that 3?
Larry, do you know?
You know, like Pisgah is all under one roof. And whenever they are being evaluated, they're evaluated differently than a school that has a high school here, junior high here. Right. The Pisgah schools, would they be considered 1 because they're under one roof, or is that 3?
1. I mean, she gave me the numbers, 16 elementary schools in the Rankin County School District, so I'm assuming that's 1. I don't know, I didn't ask her that question.
But I mean, is that, okay, we'll just have to check into that.
Yeah, so the focus, Steve, would be on middle and elementary, so that could
Right.
presumptively be 2.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
That wouldn't be fair at some places.
Right.
Well, like for example, in my spot, I've got 6.
Several.
I've got 6 elementaries.
Yeah.
I've got 6 elementary schools in my area alone,
Yep.
along with 1 middle on top of it. So that's 7.
The
Plus this.
middle school is, I don't think she included all middle schools, I think it's just a specific in her letter, I think it's just.
Does it have a list of the schools' names on there?
No, sir. Just
Okay.
a total of all schools is what we're working on.
Do we need to break that down?
We can
Where it lists
clarify.
the schools?
It break down however you want to, I'm just giving you $400,000, and I'm just presenting a letter from Dr. Morgino and Dr. Townsend on their needs for the elementary schools, and she threw in some middle schools, which I was surprised, I didn't know. And also it does, she didn't mention special needs kids, but this does touch special needs
Right.
kids too, which is one of my wants, and then focuses on that, help these special needs kids. A lot of times they don't get the resources they need to provide their education.
What you can do is, last year was athletics, and it was focused at high school level. That made it pretty simplistic. This appears to me to be more elementary focused. One thing that we could clarify is that for this particular distribution, subject to next year, assuming Larry continues to have good success in generating excess fee income out of his office, we'll be revisiting this. We could make it a focus just on elementary. Steve, that would address the issue that you're seeing. And I think if we do that, we can better clarify precisely how many schools are we talking about here, and then communicate that back to y'all. There may be a way to break down the 400,000 in such a way that it's more equitable for the smaller schools versus the larger schools, and just make sure that we get broad, equitable coverage like you want it. My thought would be, for this particular distribution, we will focus on middle school athletics next year. This should be elementary, special needs, and STEM programs primarily.
Okay.
And I'm a big believer in us identifying science, technology, mathematics, kids quickly, early. That sounds to me like the right kind of investment that this board would want to be a part of.
We will be sharing with y'all another check as large as this one next year, which y'all could, wanted to, you could go ahead and address middle school if you wanted to. I mean, the only way to distribute this money is through your agency, through your board of supervisors. So, we're gonna have about right at $800,000 returned to the county. So, y'all wanna
This
do
year?
another, y'all wanna do another
this year
project,
and
do
next
another
year.
Still
project?
next year.
Yeah, so
This is
obviously for Larry's purposes, he's not required to distribute any of the excess fee income until March 31st of the succeeding year. Okay? So what's happening here is Larry's coming to you and saying, I can already see now that I will have enough that if you wanted me to and you agreed to, I can go ahead and send this excess money to you in this amount. But he has to be wise about what is that amount, because he's got to operate an office. And so I'm suggesting to you that 400,000 is an excellent number to work with. Let's just break it down to a little bit smaller bite and deal with middle school athletic programs next year. And that way we can go ahead and communicate that to the school district if you want. And say, hey, we're not forgetting about this. We want to focus on the STEM programs and make a deep impact there. And we'll come back and look at middle school athletics next year.
And my conversations with both Dr. Virginia and Dr. Townsend were both on elementary schools, period. That one little verbiage in there about the middle school, I don't know if it can one was split school or multiple schools, I don't know, in the middle school. That was kind of thrown in there.
So Raymond's all aware of it,
I
already
talked to him
planned?
yesterday, I talked to him twice yesterday, actually.
All right,
He's excited, he's very thankful.
I'm sure.
I
Thank
gave
you.
him
Thank you, Larry.
I told, well, that's just money that comes in, it's y'all. You're very welcome.
All right, so
I appreciate
what do you-
y'all, being enough creative with us and our department and others in turn, and being able to do this, because I think we're the only county in the state that actually does this.
What do you need, Slade?
I think for today's purposes, let's don't do anything. Y'all talk about it amongst yourselves. Y'all communicate to any of the principals that you want to talk to, and let's talk about it on Monday.
Okay. You good with
We're
that?
not in a rush.
Yeah.
When
do we think that money would come into them? First of the year?
I can write you a check today.
we probably do want to go ahead and get it staged. We've done this previously. Larry can go ahead and send the check up, right? And so it's there. It's there at the point in time that y'all are ready to distribute. We've got it where we can distribute it at that point. So it's all about how y'all want to
Well,
time
I don't have
this.
a problem with Keith papering it up for Monday. Or at least get our approvals to go forward, or let us, you can do it today. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's going to
I
take a
don't,
little bit of
I don't
time.
necessarily delay on our part, just while we're sitting here thinking about something I
No.
think everybody agrees with.
Really, what I want you guys to do is to be comfortable with how the distribution would be done, okay? I want y'all to be comfortable
Can you
with that.
frame that up to us in an email, and just so we can see it?
Yeah.
And go from there, decide what we wanna do Monday?
Yep.
It's fine with me.
Good.
All right?
All right.
I've got one other matter, Mr. President, that I'm willing to wait and do as additional business, if y'all would like to move on.
I'm good with you while you're here.
Okay. We've recently been contacted by the Office of the State Attorney General about a potential settlement of what's called the opioid mass tort litigation, the MDL litigation. This is a multi-state effort to go after the manufacturers and supply chain of opioid medications that have led to an addiction. I wish, the Sheriff is here. Hey, Sheriff. In the past, thank you, sir. Good to have you. In the past, you've actually heard from Brian previously in some ways that we have seen, especially at the law enforcement level, the impact of opioid addiction and the crimes, the impact on crime that addiction has. And the State's Attorney General has taken the lead on and has formulated among other attorneys general from across the United States, the argument that the manufacturers and the supply chain of opioids are in part responsible for the increased law enforcement costs and other costs that we've been impacted by. The big picture perspective is this. There are a number of target defendants who have acknowledged in part their responsibility and are prepared to settle their part of that case. And that has resulted in funding of programs and a settlement opportunity, some of which includes a direct distribution of cash to political subdivisions, whether they are formally a part of the lawsuits or not. Rankin County has chosen not to be a litigant in any of that. You've not incurred any costs associated with that, but you're being asked now to consider participating in the settlements, the mass tort settlements that are nationwide. The key is this. There are documents that have to be signed. As it relates to the folks who are going to participate in the settlement, including us, there has to be a release of liability executed and delivered. That's got to be formally done on behalf of the board. There is a memorandum of agreement that the board has to enter into with the State Attorney General's office as it relates to receiving a distribution and then expending that distribution. The good news is this. Rankin County, because of its population base, is eligible to receive in the neighborhood of about $1 million. And according to my last conversation with the state AG's office, there are not going to be any restrictions on your use of those funds. General county funds to be used in accordance with your authority. And so what I'm communicating to you today is we have until January the 2nd to either opt into the settlement or stay out of the settlement.
I'd like to make my feelings clear right now. And I also have, we can solve a lot of problems right here. Take this $1 million and pave the rest of Stoll Road, because they go out there on that gravel road and they do dope and it's costing us millions and millions.
Don't worry, we're getting stuck.
Okay. Does that include a particular section of current gravel road that we might work on, Mike? The current section, and we get a lot of dust complaints on it?
That's another one.
Yeah. Anyhow, what I need you guys to tell me is this. Do you want to participate in the resolution? Do you want to release any liability associated with that settlement as it relates to the participating defendants? Not everybody. I think there's going to be more of these. This is about 5 or 6 of the primary target defendants that are included. Do you want them to be released with your authority as it relates to any claims that Rankin County may have, whether it knows about them or not, past, present, future, all of it gone, and then receive the funding pursuant to the MOU that I would need to execute? Do y'all want to participate? I recommend that you do.
Okay, all right.
Litigation.
Do we need to make a motion
I need a motion
to add it?
to add. This would be your consideration of a resolution that authorizes the settlement of the multi-state litigation involving opioid manufacturers and supply chain participants. That's the first, a resolution that formally participates. An MOU between Rankin County and the State Attorney General's office with respect to the use of any funding received by Rankin County. An authorization of yours truly to execute all appropriate settlement participation forms that may be required. That's what your motion to add would be.
We haven't spent a penny of litigation.
No, sir.
I make a motion that we do just what you said and take that $1 million and put it in the bank.
Yep.
Yep, so a motion by Mr. Gaines, and think of the wording of this. Mr. Gaines is,
Add it.
what Slay said, to add it.
Oh.
And then Mr. Bishop seconds it. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with the like sign? So Mr. Gaines to approve with Mr. Bishop seconding it on the motion to approve your resolution.
Right.
So, you want to
Here's-
add anything to that?
I
before we
just,
vote?
no, y'all can go ahead and vote on that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
I did.
Any opposed with the like sign? You got a question?
Yeah. If we said, we've already approved it, but if we said, nah, we won't go a little deeper. If we do that, then we may have to hire some people to
Yes,
go
sir.
forward.
Oh, you will.
We would, all right, we would.
Yep.
And we could end up spending $150,000 and coming back with $500,000.
That's-
Or nothing.
Or nothing. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's
You're
what I
taking-
thought.
you're taking
I
the
just-
bird in
yeah,
hand.
We just take the bird in hand.
Yep.
One thing you do need to know is this: the state is going to get its money out of this settlement, and that will go to the state. So what you're talking, or what we're talking about here today, is a distribution to local political subdivisions, municipalities and counties across the state who have been impacted by this and are eligible under the settlement to receive funding. The amount that the local political subdivisions each will receive is totally dependent upon participation in the settlement. There may be a county or two that either doesn't know that they need to participate, doesn't care if they need to participate, but for whatever reason doesn't participate, okay? And if that happens, that will reduce the total amount that each local political subdivision is eligible formally to receive. The number I'm giving you is dependent upon full participation by all local political subdivisions in the settlement. So I gave you the max amount that we could get. It is to be determined, as of January 2, it's to be determined what will we be eligible fully to receive. We won't know until we know, has everybody that's supposed to be at the table come to the table formally to do it. I don't want Rankin County to be counted among the local political subdivisions that aren't at the table, that don't speak on the matter.
So instead of asphalt, it could be gravel.
Yes,
Wasn't this a multi-state?
it's multi-state.
All right, so I think we've already voted.
Yeah.
Anybody with a nay sign? So that's a 4-0 vote on that. So, Mr. Slay, anything else?
That's gonna get me.
Mr. Hicks, good morning.
Good morning. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the change orders that Carl went through this morning, so I'm requesting approval on change orders 2, 3, and 4 related to the community services renovation.
All right, so a motion by Mr. Bishop, second by Mr. Gaines. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with the like sign? So item A passes. Item B,
You've all been provided the agendas for Monday's meeting, if there's any questions.
hey, Janice, don't let me forget about something. I've already forgot what I was gonna tell you. So don't let me forget about the something that I've already forgot about. When this is over, I gotta talk to you about something on that. All right,
I have nothing else.
additional business. So, discussion and action of annual funding for Rankin County Volunteer Fire Departments. Brad,
Yeah, I'll take the lead on
hit
that
that.
one. A couple
Make
of
a
weeks,
motion not to discuss it.
nay,
It dies without a second, so.
a couple of weeks ago, we approved additional funding for our volunteer fire departments in the amount of $49.76 on the 5 line items that all of them pay. I'd like to make that, or discuss on making that an annual process for our volunteer fire departments. And
Brad talked to me about it, and the thing I see, we can't man our fire station properly. We gotta do a better job of rewarding them whatever way we can. If $75,000 a year countywide will help them, and we can help pay their insurance or whatever. And I understand this is, some of these places are taxing districts, some aren't, and things like that, but to just be straight up with them, fair, I would vote for the $75,000 a year, to support our volunteers. And these, even though they probably won't see much of any of that at all in their pocket, just having that extra money for them to buy some supplies or equipment or something that they may need on the job gives them a little sense of pride when they show up and they've got as good a tools as anybody else.
And a lot of folks in the county doesn't realize that our volunteer fire departments don't have to respond to medical calls. I mean, it's not mandatory to respond to any medical calls in the county, and they do. And they do not receive anything besides a fire rebate check once a year, and it depends on what that rebate check is dispersed out, and that's mainly what they operate off of. And I think this additional funding would help out and benefit them. You got any questions down there, Jay?
Yeah, my daughter's having a baby.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
Right now?
Right now? Yeah.
Who's having a baby? Who's having a baby?
His daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, actually.
Well, I can make this quick then. I'd like to make a motion to add it then.
I just,
You got Jay in a good mood right now, so I'd fire away at him.
was, you know, do our taxing districts, are they not flush with money? Like, should we not just do this for the ones that aren't in taxing districts?
I want to be fair, so I mean, I don't know how that would work. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Daniel. I mean, I know the Reservoir, and I think Robin Hood, and maybe Star, and a few other ones are in a taxing district. I don't know which
well,
ones
they've
those would
added
be.
additional millage on those spots, but my thing was, you're talking about $75,000, that you're roughly gonna put $4,000 into every
Which
department.
ain't a lot for any department.
Well, it's not for the bigger ones, but for a smaller department, it is a lot of money. I mean, that could be something else that hangs to them. And we did it annually to them that would offset maybe some of the other stuff. And what you're doing is you're pumping money into the first responders is what you're doing by doing it. And it'd give them some more room to add additional equipment or additional
Well,
type
I'm not
of things.
opposed to it, I was just wondering if the taxing districts, if they didn't have.
Jay, there will be some
They do.
departments that get a benefit out of this that's land yap. It's over the top. There will be many of the departments that this is lifeblood. That whether or not they can operate effectively or efficiently is going to be dependent on what you do here. I don't know how you separate the departments out, honestly.
I don't know how you
Because
do
we're gonna
it, 'cause-
we're gonna get the feedback. And the feedback's gonna be, why are y'all doing that for them and you won't do it for us? We could use that money
Well, I mean,
too.
it could be that, hey, you already in a taxing district, and I mean, you pay a millage now already, but I'm good with all of them, but.
I just think to keep everybody on equal par and keep the administrative side from having to deal with questions.
Yeah.
Mike, Brett, y'all,
That 75, what fund is it coming out of?
Well, that's something that we're just going to start, I mean,
Keep
do a
them
budget.
fixed up.
Is the fire fund, or is it general fund, or?
But now, we good this year. This would be on the next budget, just something to create annually.
So, where's this money come from? No, I mean, originally, is it part of their rebate check that we keep to pay those expenses?
We won't reduce the rebate check for these amounts in the future.
they get more of the money because they're not having to carve out this piece of the insurance pie. We would eat the insurance piece.
So I guess what I'm asking, the rebate money that we do keep, that goes to general fund, not into the fire fund?
The rebate money that we get goes to purchase fire trucks.
Yeah, it's the
Well, it
rebate
does
money,
go on the fire.
well, the rebate money has to be spent for specific things, like trucks or
Right,
something like that.
yeah.
So even though when we budget to buy those trucks, I believe Keith uses that money as the offset for that.
Yeah,
And
that's
we
been
just
your
take
form
what
of
the
policy.
rebate money amount was that they would have gotten, give it to them straight out where they can buy whatever they want. They're not, the rebate money is restricted, it's gonna be spent for certain things. So we spend it for those certain things,
Right.
it does go in the fire fund.
Yeah.
This money here
I'm just
is an
saying,
additional $4,200, whatever it
It's
is,
$5,000.
or $5,000, that's gonna go into each of the
$49.76.
volunteer services every year as an additional way to buy
So
one.
this doesn't have anything to do with rebate money, we just
No.
give them $5,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but costs are up, right? I mean, fuel costs are up, all that kind of stuff like that. It's a
The
little.
insurance is up.
Good.
All right, so you wanna make a motion to add this to the agenda, or is it already on it?
I'll make a motion to add it to the agenda.
All right, I'm
It's-
sorry,
it's
it's here, it's
already
here.
there.
You just need a motion to approve, I guess,
Motion
Mr.
approved.
Calhoun.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right,
Second.
second by Mr. Gaines. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with a like sign?
This will help rural
Tremendous amount.
fire stations, fire departments from one end of the county to the other.
That's right, it will. Mr. Slade, do you have something
Yeah,
else
I-
under
I do.
additional
I-
business? Mr.
any-
Harrison doesn't,
any-
I see it back there.
Any chance that I get to give you guys some good news on the litigation front, I want to try to give it to you. You recall that the city of Jackson filed an annexation petition for the property adjacent to the airport that is titled in Jackson Municipal Airport Authority. The city of Jackson filed with the Hinds County Chancery Court a petition to annex several hundred acres around the airport with the idea of bringing that property inside the boundaries of the city of Jackson. Your legal team immediately objected to that and countersued to stop it. The chancellor assigned to that lawsuit ruled yesterday that the city of Jackson's attempt to annex that property is void. It is of no effect. And therefore, the current annexation petitions that have been filed by the city of Flowood and the city of Pearl to annex that same property are now ready to proceed unimpeded, and I anticipate that they will. And that is a very good result for Rankin County, and I'm pleased to be able to report that.
Thank you, Mr. Slade. Anything else on executive session or anything? Good, not hearing none of that. So the board wishes to entertain to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Gaines to adjourn, second by Mr. Calhoun.
Bam.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed with like sign. So we are adjourned.
Hey,
Thank you.
don't forget your December 8. Hey, Steve, don't forget December 8 at Shapley's, 6 o'clock.